Thanks for joining me. So, this is still going around. It's still heated on X and Twitter and on TV and whatnot. I've come to the conclusion basically that I think she forced the ICE officer into a situation which was basically no win. I don't think he's going to get charged for this shooting. I don't think he should be charged for this shooting. She made some dumb decisions, and we'll get into that a little bit. Part of that is this ICE Watch group that she apparently belonged to, and I am not at all opposed. In fact, I encourage people to film law enforcement, whoever they are, whenever they're doing something. I mean, I've talked to my wife when we're driving in the car. If we ever get pulled over, just start recording, just in case. Hopefully their body cams don't go haywire. Hopefully, we end up deleting the video because there's no point. But coming from a journalistic background and whatnot, record everything. So she belonged to this ICE Watch group. And if that's all you're doing, that's fine. You're well within your constitutional rights. Unfortunately, that's not all that she was doing. So this is from the National Review piece. ICE Watch, they have a de-arrest primer. And if you've watched some of this, some of the videos online of the Antifa and whatnot protests, I say protests, riots a lot of the time, they have a de-arrest primer. And you've seen this in those videos if you've watched enough of them. If you don't have a crowd asserting pressure, there may be some interference charges that come. And the de-arrest primer, it's basically when the cops go to grab someone and arrest them, you grab that person and try and pull them away. That's what this is. And so, this is kind of warning them. If you don't have a crowd asserting pressure, then there may be some interference charges that come with blocking a police vehicle, which is what she was doing at the time. That may be more easily handed down for only one or two people blocking a police vehicle, but in many cases, these are misdemeanor offenses and catch and release. This ICE Watch got her into this situation. This is block vehicles. This is not stand there and watch. I mean, you kind of see where they got that, she was a legal observer line that they rolled out almost immediately. Legal observers observe. They stand back. They observe. They do not involve themselves. Blocking a police vehicle is involving yourself. These are not nice people. Minnesota ICE Watch distributed pamphlets to the community last summer on building Midwest revolutionary abolitionist movement. I guarantee you that's not abolitionist slavery, and that's not abolishing abortions. That's who knows. And 6 days ago, the account posted a video of Malcolm X saying, "You don't get freedom peacefully." Again, not a legal observer. I won't go so far as to call her domestic terrorists. I don't think that was the case. I don't think I don't think this is necessarily domestic terrorism. I have a higher bar for the use of the word terrorism. It would involve running a cop over. But it certainly involves, there's all sorts of arson, using a gun to shoot people. That's all terrorism. This is too borderline for me. New York Post published some of this manual, and here's the de-arresting. So you got the police officer, federal agent, whatever you want to, law enforcement on the right, and they're trying to arrest someone. You go up and try and pull them away. This is a great way for somebody to get shot and killed. You don't do this. Do not do this. Not smart. And this is something that's a little interesting to me. So I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but Minnesota Public Radio did an interview with the person who's running these Minnesota Ice Watch things. This was back in December. Okay, so this was almost a full month ago. Several weeks before Renee Good was shot and killed. And I just wanted you to take a listen to kind of how she's describing it and what she says and doesn't say. So here, take a listen.
Now, an organization in the Twin Cities is offering so-called Ice Watch training. The training, provided by States at the Core, or STAC, prepares neighbors to monitor, document, and fight against ice activity. Jill Garvey is STAC's executive director, and she's here to tell us more. Thanks for being here, Jill.
Thanks for having me.
What are your trainings designed to do?
We really focus on three things. We focus on documenting what people are seeing in their neighborhoods. One, to get a better understanding of what ice tactics are, and also to document anything that is really running afoul of the law or people's constitutional rights. The third thing is really to de-escalate. That means sort of diminishing violence from any law enforcement agency as these operations are being carried out.
You're de-escalating. First off, the first couple are fine. Observing, recording, great. But you want to de-escalate what the law enforcement is doing. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. I mean, what is this a euphemism? The cops are going to arrest someone and we will de-escalate that by trying to tear that person away from the cops and free them? Not de-escalating. That's, in fact, the exact opposite. That's escalating. I mean, do we have to go into Orwell's newspeak on this? That's not de-escalating. Notice how she also doesn't talk about their little manual about how we're going to pull people away. Is that de-escalating? This is not honest, and it's this sort of stuff that got in Renee Good's head and put her in a position where she got shot. Not a good idea. Here's another clip from the very end of this. This is a 4.5 minute long interview or so. Most of the middle of it's, these were the parts I found interesting anyways.
Well, what do you want the community to understand about Ice Watch training?
Anybody can do this, and that everybody has the right to do it. The more of us who practice it, right, the more normalized it becomes, and the stronger those sort of rights under the Constitution become.
They want to normalize this behavior. Now, if it's just standing and recording, fine. I would like to normalize that too. Again, coming from a journalism background, yes, I record everything. Observe, report, yes. That's not what this Ice Watch training is about. She is soft-pedaling it even to a sympathetic outlet. And is it any real wonder that a couple of people who took their training and were all gung-ho about it, one of them's dead now? This is not the way to go about civil disobedience. This is new. This is apparently after the shooting. This is a video from another angle. You can see the reports down there. It's 2026. The source is Big Sleaze Yup, it looks like. Take a listen.
Why did you have real bullets? You were yelling!
Why did you use real bullets? I don't know what alternate reality someone lives in who thinks, oh, law enforcement officers, they don't use real bullets. Well, maybe in riot situations they'll use rubber bullets or something, but this is not 200 of them with shields and these are guys in an SUV. Of course they have real bullets. What gave you the idea they would not have real bullets? Again, this is the Renee Good's partner, wife, whatever you want to call her. You're kind of, if you insist she come down there, and it's just, people on the left, their rhetoric is egging people on to do this sort of stuff. This is not peaceful protest. This is interfering with valid law enforcement work. Okay? ICE has a right to arrest people in this country illegally. They also have a right to arrest people who get in their way as they're trying to do that. I've seen some stuff going around online. Oh, ICE doesn't have the right to arrest U.S. citizens, blah, blah, blah. So you can kick them in the shins. No, you can't. I'm not sure, it's, some of these are lawyers, too, who seem to think, oh, they don't have the authority under blah, blah, blah. It's like, yes, they do. Yes, they do. Absolutely insane. This is a clip from CNN's nightly program or whatnot. The guy on the right's Noah Rothman of National Review. I interviewed him several years ago about one of his books. Nice guy. He's come up in the world. He used to be at Commentary Magazine, but I'm not playing what he's got to say. He makes similar points to the ones that I've been making. Is that you're creating this situation. She shouldn't look. And I said this earlier. If you've got young children, do not do this sort of thing. People want to, oh, this is not risky at all. It's risky. There is a risk anytime you interact with law enforcement. There's a risk. It's lower in some situations, it's higher in others. This sort of thing where you're blocking them, and they ask you down, and you get out of the vehicle and you don't. Those sorts of situations are higher. And again, I'm with Rothman. Again, I'm not playing what he said, but I don't think she deserved to get shot. But I completely and totally realize that I think legally she gave him that option when she started to drive the car towards him. And she did hit him. There is no doubt she hit him. Okay? The mayor's like, oh, he was walking around with a limp. I get worse, people get worse hip injuries opening up the refrigerator, which is dumb. Dumb. And you don't have a right to injure law enforcement either. Oh, walk it off, rub some dirt on it. This is Julie Roginski. She is, I'm sure she's got a Substack, I think it said on there. But she's got information for us. And I want you to listen very closely to how she characterizes what happened.
This is a breaking point, I think, for a lot of people, what happened in Minneapolis. I think this is a moment where people realized that this could be them, that they could be driving their kid to school, coming home, see something, stop, have somebody say to them, drive away, have somebody else say to them, get out of the car. They heard or misheard something, and all of a sudden you're dead within a span of about 60 seconds, if not less. And when you see something like that, I think we all understand that this could happen to any one of us. This is a breaking point for a lot of people in America. Even people who are not political before understand what a problem this is now.
Listen to how she described that. She was just driving home and she saw something. And she had one person yelling at her to get out of the car and another person telling her to drive away. The person telling her to drive away was her significant other, was her spouse. Even I can tell the difference between, and I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed apparently with some of this stuff. I'm not on CNN. I can tell the difference between what my wife is telling me, whom I know very well, and what some random cop is telling me. This is not this. She's trying to muddy the waters here. Maybe she just dropped her off her kid at school. And maybe she saw something, but this didn't happen in 60 seconds. There's a view from across the street where she was sitting there parked, blocking them for over 3 minutes before this occurred. This is deceptive. This is willful, and nobody not even Rothman calls her out on this. She should be called out on this. What she described did not happen. Okay? Did not happen. There's more. This is Arizona Senator, who's a classy guy. He's going to tell us, he's going to tell you what real bravery looks like. Take a listen.
What type of man decides to walk around with a phone camera and at the same time trying to make life and death decisions, and then decides to make life decisions and then pump one bullet in that may have been forward facing, but clearly the other two were on the side? Who is this person? This person is clearly not someone that should be in law enforcement. And I don't care what he had dealt with before. I don't care what kind of training he had before. No professional law enforcement, no true person that actually has any type of courage would have decided to do that. That man is a coward.
Well, if Ruben Gallegos says it, then apparently it must be true. I like that he concedes at least the first shot was, from the front. Okay, maybe he was in danger there, but what kind of person walks around a car with a camera? Well, Good's significant other, wife, whatever you want to call her, did. She was doing the same thing. But he wants to call this guy a coward. Let's substitute teaching yesterday. Wife, just one period covering. My wife had an appointment, so I covered her class. She was talking about ethos, pathos, and logos. And ethos is credibility, for those of you who want a refresher on your English class. It's who you are. It's what you say. So when Ruben Gallego calls you a coward, what kind of person is Ruben Gallego? Well, he's the type of guy who served his pregnant wife with divorce papers when she was likely within days of her due date. And then he wanted the ex-wife to pay his own attorney's fees. This is the guy telling you what cowardice looks like. This guy. The only reason he got elected was because he was running against Carrie Lake, who was an absolute disaster. Candidates matter, ladies and gentlemen. This guy, piece of work. Congratulations, Arizona voters. Anyways. My sister-in-law has a Substack. She has a honest to goodness. Encourage you to check it out. Subscribe. After you've subscribed to mine. Subscribe to mine first, then to hers. And then, do a paid subscription to mine, then do a paid subscription to hers. But she's, has a little piece that came out today about this. And I want to read it because, she says some intelligent things. She's my sister-in-law. It's almost, not at all related, but, it's almost genetic or something. I don't know. So she says, I have people on my timeline comparing ICE to ISIS. That is not just wrong, it is dangerous. ICE officers are not abstract villains. They are human beings tasked, often imperfectly, with removing convicted rapists, child predators, murderers, and gang members from American communities. Demonizing them as Nazis or terrorists does not protect anyone. It violence, puts families at risk, and turns public servants into acceptable targets. Yes. You call them the Gestapo, Well, there's a proper response to the Gestapo. And you see, I think it's unwise for your average person to throw that around. But it's worse when it's a politician or a pundit who appears on CNN or MS Now or has a piece in the Washington Post or something. It's worse when it's those people. She continues, inflammatory comparisons to Nazis, Gestapo, or terrorists have fueled real consequences. DHS reports show assaults on ICE officers skyrocketing, over 1,000 to 1,300% increases in some periods. Death threats exploding, up to 8,000% in reported spikes. Vehicular attacks, and Renee Goods would classify as a vehicular attack. No one knows what was going through her mind as she was pulling away, whether she wanted to hit him or not, or whether she was going to avoid him. No one knows. Oh, the wheel was turned down. In the moment that it occurred, and go to see my last video. There's a close up of wheel spin, and the time for a fraction of a second before the wheels actually caught, because it's Minnesota, it's wet, it's icy, it's snowy, it's cold. In the moments there was the wheel spin, it was pointed straight ahead. Vehicular attacks, doxing, and harassment against agents and their families. The Renee Good case did not happen in a vacuum. It is being filtered through a culture that already warped by selective outrage and ideological escalation. We will not get clarity by pretending one side is uniquely virtuous and the other uniquely evil. We can name real problems without lying about their causes. We can criticize policy without demonizing people. And if we're actually serious about saving lives instead of just scoring points, it's past time to grow the hell up. Quit the moral speeches, quit turning public servants into targets with Nazi/ISIS smears, and start debating immigration and enforcement like grown adults who value truth over tribal rage. I like the political landscape that she paints there, where we can have reasonable discussions. We can debate how immigration should be enforced, or whether it should be enforced, because frankly, a lot of the left seems to think it shouldn't be enforced. I'm sure I've disappointed some, people who in the past agreed with me or whatnot. People who I've agreed with in the past have disappointed me. There's I'm not sure if he's still, but at the time, 10, 15 years ago, he was an assistant district attorney in LA, had a blog, and he has made the case that online, angrily online, that Renee Good was basically murdered. This guy had absolutely no cause, no fear for his life. He would just wanted to straight out put a bullet in her brain. And there is no colorable self-defense claim. That's wrong. I don't agree with him, but I think there's a lot of people, and he's reasonably conservative. I think he's been afflicted by TDS on the right, Trump derangement syndrome. Because I think there's a lot of people who look at this and think that, just because Trump's in charge, that everything the government does now is crap. But he posted something over the weekend basically saying there couldn't be a self-defense claim. The ICE officer couldn't claim self-defense because him shooting the car, him discharging his firearm, wouldn't have stopped him from getting hit, and he didn't get hit in the first place. He did get hit. But the argument seems to be, well, he's standing a foot away. She's got a 4,000-pound car. Even if she was gunning it at him, he can't fire that gun and claim self-defense because momentum of the vehicle would still run him over, would still hit him, would still kill him, and the bullet wouldn't do any good. So you can't fire it. And I made a comparison. You can, if you go on X, type in @Hoystory, scroll up to Saturday or Sunday. I think it was Saturday. You'll see this conversation back and forth. But he seems to think that there is a futility exception to self-defense. I described a case where, okay, let's say I'm getting the tar beat out of me by two guys. They're huge. They're both Brock Lesnar lookalikes. Brock Lesnar is a MMA fighter, does professional wrestling. The guy is huge, big. Let's say they're both Brock Lesnar lookalikes. They've knocked the tar out of me. Okay, I'm in really bad shape, but I've managed to get my hand on a Derringer in .22 long rifle. .22 long rifle bullets are tiny. It reminds one of Blazing Saddles, where Sheriff Bart's going to go and shoot Mongo, and Gene Wilder's character says, "Don't shoot him; you'll just make him angry." Shooting Brock Lesnar with a .22 would probably just make him angry. So, and getting headshots and whatnot would be unlikely to happen, and them stopping him would be even more unlikely. But do I have the right to shoot him? It's like, oh, that's different. It's like, no, it's the same sort of futility that you've described. Okay? I'm sorry. We have Jack disturbing us. We're going to see if Jack is going to stay up there. And if he does, we're good. If not, we're going to have to start over. So, I say that because I want to show you this. This is, I think this is a Border Patrol agent, I believe. This is, it's obviously not in California because gas is $2.97 a gallon. But he's, this guy should probably be sued. The Border Patrol agent, the federal agent. I don't know what he is, if he's ICE or not. And probably personally as well. So I want you to take a look at this.
Get back. You know people hate you. Hey!
Y'all look good.
I know.
One at a time. Nobody did. I'm not resisting. Fucking cowards are here. I'm not resisting. I'm not doing shit. Leave me alone. Put your arm behind your back. This is how you spend your life? Hey, can somebody grab my phone? Cheap JV Gestapo? That's what you want? I got your phone. Who do you need us to contact? Give us a phone number. Give us a phone number. My girlfriend's right behind you.
Once you guys get him in, let's get him into Victor 3, okay?
Yeah. I'm going to Victor 3. That's what they said. Victor 3.
Get up. Give him a good pat down. Once you get him up, give him a good pat down. Get up. Put him in the vehicle. Hey, wagon here.
All right, we're good.
Pick up his legs. Pick up his legs. Back up, you guys.
That's a fucking bitch.
Stay back. Stay back.
Hey, you guys need a back.
Now, pardon the language there. Don't really have any control over that. A lot of people on the right have said, oh, well, you can't condemn this because you don't see what, it starts there. That's Bolshevik storytelling, as my father would say. Because the part, if there was an excuse from 5 minutes earlier, then the arrest should have started 5 minutes earlier. Okay? This is it's a bad arrest. The cop, maybe you push him back. I don't think you need to push him back at all. But there is zero reason to arrest him. It's a bad arrest. Looks like the cop looks like this is an arrest for contempt of cop. And if you're mad just because he's recording you, then you've lost qualified immunity. Congratulations, because there's a right to record police doing, federal officials doing federal, business work. If you can't, and did the guy bring some of this upon himself? Would this have happened if he hadn't been, chewing out the cops? Probably not. But you got a right to chew out the cops. But you can't say that, they just grabbed some random guy off the street. Bad arrest. Cop has opened himself up to a civil rights lawsuit. And he probably deserves the civil rights lawsuit. I hope this guy makes money. I guarantee you I don't agree with his politics, but this is a bogus arrest. And this is kind of, when you should be observing things, this is what you should observe. A few years ago, I was on the Dave Congleton show in San Luis Obispo. He's got a nightly kind of local show. And I was his gun guy. When he wanted to talk about firearms or firearms law or that sort of stuff, I was the person he called. And we were talking about concealed carry, blah, blah, blah. And somebody caller called in and said, well, if you want to carry a gun, why don't you become a cop? This is why I don't become a cop. Because one of my flaws is I do not suffer fools lightly. If I have a firearm and this guy is yelling at me and doing this sort of stuff, I, as a private citizen, walk away and remove myself from that situation. Cops don't have that option. Okay? I realize that about my own personality. This guy apparently doesn't. If this is the sort of thing that's going to piss you off, you do not become a police officer. Okay? You still have the right to carry a gun, but walk away. Got this interesting. So moving on to similar, Minneapolis issue, but Minneapolis immigration, but a separate issue. So the Minnesota, I think this is Minneapolis, maybe the state as well, has filed a lawsuit basically saying to the Department of Homeland Security, you should not be enforcing immigration law here. And so here's a Jacob Fry press conference. Take a listen here. To his right, just to his left on your screen, is Keith Ellison, who is a former head of the DNC, I believe, and is currently Minnesota's Attorney General. I have no idea who the other people are, but take a listen.
These are not normal times. And so the response that we are asking for from the judicial system and from the courts requires that we file suit at this particular moment. What we are seeing right now is not normal immigration enforcement. We are not asking ICE not to do ICE things. We are asking this federal government to stop the unconstitutional conduct that is invading our streets each and every day. You've seen the videos. At times, there are as many as 50 agents arresting one person. The scale is wildly disproportionate and has nothing to do with keeping people safe. In Minneapolis, we've done work extensively with.
There is not a law, there is not a policy that dictates the number of people that the maximum number of law enforcement officers allowed to make an arrest. This is odd, to say the least. It doesn't matter if it's 50 ICE agents to arrest one bad guy. Does not matter. And based on the rhetoric coming out of the likes of Fry and others, you may want to, it may only take one or even two or maybe three to arrest the bad guy. The other 47 are for keeping those three and the person they've arrested safe because you've incited a mob. This is silly.
The federal government under multiple administrations to keep people in our city safe. We have worked with the DEA, the ATF, the FBI, the Attorney General's office, as well as the U.S. Attorney's office, to successfully drive down crime in our city. We've seen the results of that work, but let's be clear. The stated reason of this federal government for bringing in this full invasion of ICE and border control is not safety.
A quick thing to note here. They have said it is safety. I think it is safety. He may not like that it's safety, but it is. Note who he doesn't list as people that they've worked with. Who does he not list? He does not list Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Why? Because it's a sanctuary city. Okay, they do not. If they've got an illegal alien who shouldn't be in the country in the first place, and they're going to let him out of jail or let him out of prison because they've served their time or they're out on, bond or something, but they shouldn't be in the country in the first place, they don't cooperate with ICE. So that's one thing that, so it's a little bit disingenuous. This is from Fox News reporter. New amid ongoing tension between Minnesota and Trump administration, DHS is calling on Governor Walz and Mayor Fry to cooperate with 1,360 detainers of criminal illegal aliens. After the DHS says Minnesota's already released 470 illegal aliens onto the streets. And they list some of them. Lenny Odemel Ramirez Santos, criminal illegal alien from Honduras, charged with sex offense against a child, fondling and driving under the influence of liquor. This does not get prettier. Edwin Amabal Ashkaninsuta, criminal illegal alien from Ecuador with charges for lewd or lascivious acts with a minor. Linda Na Mama Epse George, a criminal illegal alien from Cameroon with charges of cruelty towards a child and domestic violence. Another one, homicide, negligent manslaughter with a vehicle and DUI. Another one, Sudan, terroristic threats, burglary, first-degree aggravated robbery. Another one from Laos, drug trafficking and selling a synthetic narcotic. They're trying to remove bad people. Their sanctuary city, you'd probably have less of an ICE presence if you didn't have the sanctuary city situation going on. This is from a few days earlier. ICE provided Fox News with a list of the most egregious criminal illegal aliens they've arrested during their surge in Minnesota. Again, it's not pretty. Laotian illegal alien, strong-arm sodomy of a boy, strong-arm sodomy of a girl, with a deportation order in effect since 2018. Another one from Laos, sexual assault and sodomy of a girl under 13, procuring a child for prostitution, deportation order since 2006. Another one, strong-arm rape of a 12-year-old girl and kidnapping a child with intent to sexually assault her, deportation order since 2004. Strong-arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, convicted of rape of a child, deportation orders. Ladies and gentlemen, that's like the first 5 or 6. This is the full tweet. This is the full list. Those are people they've gotten off the streets in Minnesota. They're not making it safer. Who's not making it safer? Jacob Fry, Governor Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, demonizing ICE for getting people like this off the street. And this is who Renee Good was, these are the type of people Renee Good was protecting. Okay? I think she's misguided, but that's the situation there. I got a feeling this is going to get worse before it gets better. We'll see what the backlash is in the upcoming midterm elections and how much of that, who knows how much of it's going to be because of this sort of stuff and how much of it's going to be because of the economy. But this is, we should not be surprised if the rhetoric creates this sort of stuff. It'd be nice if we toned it down. It's not going to get toned down because it gets donations. It gets politicians elected. Having respectful discourse does not. Telling the truth about what's happening does not. And that's, to a certain, that's on both sides too. Some of the rhetoric coming out of the White House and from Kristi Noem and whatnot don't help the situation either on the other side. So that's all I got on that for today. Thanks for watching this clip from the Hoystory On Air broadcast. I encourage you to follow me on Substack, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I want to thank you for your support, and please feel free to watch another video or 2 or 3.